Hello, my friends. Today I want to tell you a story. It is about my first time at the airport. It was a new experience for me. I was excited and I was also nervous. Everything was new, and I learned many things. The evening before my trip was very special. Tomorrow, I would fly for the first time in my life. I sat on my bed and looked at my small suitcase. It was still empty, but my heart was full of feelings. I felt excited because I was going to visit my relatives by plane for the first time. I also felt nervous because everything was new for me. I smiled to myself. I wanted to remember this moment forever. I took my notebook and wrote, "First flight tomorrow." Next to the words, I drew a small airplane. The picture looked simple, but for me it was very important. It showed my dream, and tomorrow that dream would come true. I felt nervous again, but I told myself that it was okay to feel this way. New things can be scary, but they can also be wonderful. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was late, and I needed to sleep. Tomorrow would be a memorable day. I closed my eyes. I thought about the airplane, the airport, and the sky. Slowly, I fell asleep with a smile on my face. The next morning, the alarm rang very early. It was still dark outside. I opened my eyes and felt both sleepy and excited. Today was the day of my first flight. My dad helped me get ready. He carried my suitcase to the door and gave me a gentle smile. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded with a small smile. My heart felt light and a little fast. It was hard to believe. I was really going to fly for the first time. We took a taxi together. I sat inside and held my backpack on my lap. I looked out of the window. The streets were quiet. Some people were walking and some were going to work. Everything looked calm, but inside I felt nervous. I took a deep breath and tried to relax. My dad talked to me in the taxi. He explained about the airport. He told me about check-in, security, and the gate. I listened carefully because I wanted to do everything right. After 2 hours, the taxi arrived at the airport. When I saw the building, my eyes opened wide. I saw bright lights, tall glass doors, and many people. The airport looked huge. I said to myself, "This is it. It is real." We walked inside together. The airport was even bigger than I had imagined. Everywhere I looked, I saw people. Some were walking with bags, some were sitting on chairs, some were talking to their friends. Others were looking at big screens with flight information. I held my dad's hand and looked around. There were many signs. They showed check-in, security, restrooms, and gates. The sounds of the airport filled the air. I heard the wheels of suitcases rolling on the floor. I heard voices in many languages. I also heard a loudspeaker calling about a flight. I could not understand everything, but I listened carefully. Everything was new and interesting. We walked until we found the check-in area. My heart started to beat faster. This was the moment I had been waiting for. I took my passport and ticket out of my backpack. I held them tightly in my hand. I smiled because it felt so real. We waited in line. There were many people with big suitcases. Some people looked tired, maybe because their flight was early in the morning. Some people looked happy, maybe because they were going on holiday. I looked at them and wondered where they were going. Finally, it was my turn. I walked slowly to the desk. A woman in a blue uniform smiled at me and said, "Good morning." I felt shy, but I smiled back and said, "Good morning." I gave her my passport and my ticket. She typed on the computer and looked at the screen. I waited quietly. Then she printed a small piece of paper and gave it to me. She said, "This is your boarding pass. Your seat is 14A next to the window." I looked at the paper in my hand. It was my first boarding pass. I felt happy and a little excited. I said, "Thank you," and smiled. I held the boarding pass tightly, afraid I might lose it. For me, it was the start of my very first flight. Next, I put my suitcase on the moving belt. The suitcase slowly rolled away behind a wall. I waved and said, "Bye, suitcase. See you soon." My dad laughed when he heard me. He said, "Don't worry, it goes to the plane too." I smiled. My suitcase was on its way to the airplane, and soon I would be too. Now it is time for security. There are many people in line. Everyone has trays. I take a tray too. I put my backpack inside. I also put in my jacket, my shoes, and my phone. My tray moves through a big machine. I walk through a gate. Suddenly, I hear a beep. I feel a little nervous. A guard comes and smiles. She asks, "Do you have any liquids in your bag?" I say, "Oh, I forgot. I have a water bottle." She takes it out and says kindly, "No problem. You cannot bring water, but everything else is fine." I say, "Sorry. This is my first flight." She smiles and says, "You are doing great." I feel better. I made a mistake, but I stayed calm. I put on my shoes and take my bag. My dad says, "Well done." I smile. We are one step closer to the airplane. After security, we walk through a long hallway. There are many signs and numbers. I look at my boarding pass again. It says Gate 12. We follow the signs until we find it. Gate 12 is near a big window. I sit down and look outside. I see airplanes on the ground. Some are parking. Some are moving. Some are flying into the sky. I watch one go up. I whisper, "Wow, that will be me soon." I feel excited and a little nervous. Many people are waiting at the gate. Some are reading books. Some are using their phones. A little boy is sleeping on his mother's lap. A girl is eating a sandwich. Everything feels calm, but inside my heart is beating faster. I open my backpack. I check again. Passport? Yes. Boarding pass? Yes. Phone? Yes. Headphones? Yes. Everything is safe. I drink some juice and look around. I listen to the loudspeaker. It calls other flights, but not mine yet. My dad says, "You are doing well. You are almost there." I smile. I say, "Thank you for coming with me." I look at the clock. Just 20 more minutes. My hands feel a little cold, but I am good. Suddenly, the speaker calls my flight. "Now boarding flight 245 to River City. Passengers with children may board first." I sit up straight. That is my flight. My dad smiles and says, "It's time." We stand in line. The airport staff checks my boarding pass and my passport. She smiles and says, "You are in seat 14A, window seat. Enjoy your flight." I say, "Thank you." My heart beats fast. I walk down the long hallway called the jet bridge. Step by step, I go closer to the airplane. When I enter the plane, the lights are soft. The seats are in rows. A flight attendant stands near the door. She says, "Welcome." I smile and say, "Hello." I walk to my seat. I find 14A. It is next to the window. I sit down and look outside. The view is amazing. I can see the airport, the people, and other planes moving on the ground. I fasten my seatbelt as the sign says. A flight attendant checks and gives me a thumbs up. I take a deep breath. My heart is beating fast. The plane starts to move, slowly at first, then faster, then even faster. I sit in my seat and hold the armrest. The plane moves faster and faster. My heart beats quickly. Suddenly, the plane lifts off the ground. I feel pressure in my ears. I swallow, and it helps. I look out the window. The cars look tiny, the houses look small, the clouds come closer. I whisper, I am flying. I feel nervous, but I also feel happy. This is my very first flight, and I am really in the sky. The plane goes higher and higher. Outside the window, I see white clouds like soft pillows. The sun shines above them. It feels quiet and calm. I relax a little. I take off my jacket and sit back. At first, I was scared, but now it feels peaceful. I look at the screen on the seat in front of me. I do not use it. I only look at the sky. The view is beautiful, and I do not want to miss it. I take out my phone and snap a few pictures of the clouds. Then I record a short video capturing the sunlight shining on the endless white sky. I want to remember this special moment forever. A flight attendant comes with a cart. She smiles and asks, "Would you like something to drink?" I smile back and say, "Yes, please, apple juice." She gives me a cup and some crackers. I say, "Thank you." I take a sip. The juice is cold and sweet. It makes me happy. Around me, some people are reading books, some are watching movies, and some are sleeping with blankets. Everyone looks calm. I open my backpack and take out my notebook. I write one sentence. I am flying for the first time, and it is amazing. Then I close the notebook and smile. The plane moves gently through the sky. I listen to soft music with my headphones. I feel calm and happy. After about 1 hour, the pilot speaks. "We are preparing to land. Please fasten your seatbelt." I sit up and click my seatbelt. I look out the window again. The clouds are gone. I see the ground below. Buildings look small. Roads look like thin lines. The plane goes lower and lower. My ears feel strange again, but I swallow, and it helps. The plane gets closer to the ground. I hold the armrest tight. Suddenly, I hear the wheels touch the runway. Bump, bump. The plane slows down. My heart feels light. I smile and whisper, "I did it." We land safely. People clap and smile. Some stand up to take their bags. I wait for my turn. My legs feel a little shaky, but I am okay. The plane stops. The seatbelt sign turns off. People stand up and take their bags from the overhead bins. I wait for my row. My dad looks at me and smiles. I get my backpack and walk slowly off the plane. A flight attendant stands near the door and says, "Goodbye." I smile and say, "Goodbye. Thank you." Then I step back into the airport. My legs feel a little wobbly, but I am happy. The hallway is busy. People walk quickly. Some look tired, some look excited. I follow my dad to the baggage claim area. We stand and wait for the suitcases. The belt moves slowly. Bags come one by one. I watch carefully. Then I see my suitcase. It looks the same as before. I pull it off the belt and smile. "Hello, suitcase. Welcome back." My dad laughs. We walk to the arrivals area. I look around. Many people wait for their family and friends. Some hold flowers. Some wave. Some hold signs with names. Suddenly, I see my cousin. She waves and runs to me. I drop my bag and run to her. She hugs me tightly and says, "Was the flight tiring?" I smile and answer, "A little, but I'm so happy to be here." We laugh together. I feel warm and happy inside. We leave the airport and step outside. The air feels fresh. The sky is bright. My cousin helps with my suitcase. We walk to her car. On the way, I think about the day. I learned how to check in, go through security, wait at the gate, and sit on the plane. I saw clouds, the sky, and the city below. It was all new and amazing. When we arrive at my cousin's home, she makes tea and gives me a snack. We sit and talk. I tell her about the plane, the view from the window, and the apple juice. She listens and smiles. I say, flying was scary at first, but then it was wonderful. I want to fly again. She laughs and says, next time will be even easier. I nod. Today I did something new. At night, I take out my phone and look at the pictures and videos I recorded of the clouds. The soft white sky, the sunlight, the feeling of being above the world. It all comes back to me. I smile as I watch the clips again, remembering how amazing it felt to fly. Then I put my phone down, close my eyes, and drift off to sleep with the image of the clouds still in my mind. Thank you for joining me for this story. Today we learned about my first time at the airport. It was exciting, a little scary, and truly happy. I hope you enjoyed the story and learned some new English words about travel. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and come back for more English stories. Each story will help you learn step by step, simply and gently. See you next time, my friends.